My 3-month girlfriend told me she's leaving if I don't marry her in 9 months. If you don't plan on marrying me in 9 months, you need to let me know now, she said, her tone firm, her eyes searching mine for an answer. It was a typical evening, the kind that felt comfortably familiar. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the small apartment I shared with my thoughts and textbooks. I was 21, just a young man with a dream, deep into flight school, while also juggling college on the side. My life was mapped out in a series of meticulously planned steps, each one leading me closer to the sky. Then there was her, Emma. She was 22, vibrant and full of life. We'd been dating for about 3 months, and in that short time, she'd become an integral part of my world. It was easy to fall for her. She had a way of making the ordinary feel extraordinary. But as much as I liked her, I hadn't yet considered where we might be heading. I was still figuring out who I was, let alone thinking about marriage. But Emma was different. She had a plan too, and it was one that didn't quite align with mine. The words she spoke one evening hit me like a sudden gust of wind, unsettling the calm routine I'd built. "If you don't plan on marrying me in 9 months, you need to let me know now," she said, her tone firm, her eyes searching mine for an answer. I stared at her, taken aback by the suddenness of it all. 9 months? We'd only been together for 3. Marriage wasn't even on my radar yet. "Emma, I'm in flight school and I'm enrolled in college. I'm not ready for marriage," I replied, trying to make her understand the weight of my responsibilities. "We've been together for 3 months, and honestly, 9 more isn't enough time for me to decide if I want to spend the rest of my life with someone." She didn't take it well. I could see the disappointment in her eyes, but there was something else. Resolve. "Don't waste my time," she said quietly, but her voice carried a finality that shook me. Over the next few days, the conversation between us became increasingly strained. The easygoing banter that had once filled our days was replaced with tension. Emma wasn't backing down, and neither was I. The idea of marriage, especially with so much else on my plate, felt overwhelming. But she had her own argument. "If you want to marry me so soon," I finally said, "I need a prenup to protect myself. We need to be practical." Her reaction was immediate. "A prenup? You don't trust me," she accused, her voice rising with frustration. "It's not about trust," I tried to explain. "It's about being prepared. I've seen too many things go wrong for people who rush into marriage without thinking it through." But Emma was adamant. To her, my request for a prenup was a clear sign that I wasn't committed, that I didn't see a future with her. And the more I tried to rationalize it, the further apart we seemed to drift. She brought up another point, one that left me speechless. "Having a wife and kids will make everything easier," she said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. I blinked, trying to process her words. Easier? With all the stress and responsibility I was already under, the idea of adding marriage and children into the mix felt impossible. I was just beginning to carve out my own path, and now it felt like I was being asked to divert course entirely. The days passed, and the more I thought about it, the more conflicted I became. I really did like Emma, maybe even more than I was willing to admit, but the more she pushed for marriage, the more I started to question her motives. Was she rushing into this because she genuinely loved me? Or was there something else driving her urgency? Finally, the breaking point came one evening. We were sitting in silence, the weight of our unresolved conversation hanging heavy in the air. "I can't do this," I said finally, breaking the silence. Emma looked at me, her eyes searching mine for an answer she didn't want to hear. "I can't marry you in 9 months. I'm not ready," I repeated, my voice firm. "I need time, and I need to know that we're doing this for the right reasons, not just because of some arbitrary deadline." For a moment, she just stared at me, her expression unreadable. Then she nodded slowly, as if she'd already known what I was going to say. "I can't wait for you," she replied, her voice soft but resolute. "I need someone who's ready now." And just like that, it was over. She walked out of my apartment and out of my life, leaving me to wonder if I'd made the right decision. I knew I had to follow my own path, but that didn't make the loss any easier to bear. In the weeks that followed, I threw myself into my studies and training, trying to fill the void that Emma had left behind. But no matter how busy I kept myself, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd lost something important. Maybe Emma was right. Maybe I was too focused on my own goals to see what was right in front of me. But as much as I missed her, I knew that I couldn't compromise on something as important as marriage. I needed to be sure, and that kind of certainty couldn't be rushed. Life went on, and so did I. I continued to work towards my dream of becoming a pilot, each step bringing me closer to the sky. But every now and then, I found myself looking back, wondering if there might have been a different way forward, one where I didn't have to choose between love and my future. But for now, I was flying solo, navigating my own course, and hoping that someday I'd find someone who could soar alongside me at a pace that felt just right